Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series preview show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, consider going down below to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. On today's Cup preview, we're looking ahead to today's 23rd Annual Auto Club 400 from the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. So we're going to start off looking at the starting lineup for today's race. We're going to look at the two practice sessions that everybody ran in race trim yesterday to kind of get an idea who's fast this weekend. We're going to predict a winner for today, and then we're going to give you the tune-in info for when you can catch the race today. So we're going to start off here, like I said, with the starting lineup, and before we get into the starting lineup, we need to talk briefly about the very weird qualifying session that happened. With the current aero package, group qualifying has gotten very strange because with drafting becoming such a big deal on the bigger tracks now, teams have resorted to waiting until the last second in the final round to go out, and then they all go out in a big group. But nobody wants to be first because the person at the front of the train in a drafting line is never the fastest. So everybody wants to be as far to the back as they possibly can, but the problem is they're waiting until the last second to go out to make their lap. And that bit them this time because no one in the final 12 made a lap in the final round. None of them made it to the line in time before the clock hit zero. So we reverted qualifying times back to the second round to figure out who was the pole sitter and everybody down through 12th. It just became a very weird, wacky situation. It just, I don't know. The thing about it is group qualifying is exciting when it works. The problem is with this year's package and the way this is set up, it doesn't work. Because with such an emphasis on drafting, these teams are going to play this game. We saw this at Vegas as well. It wasn't to this extent. Only Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman didn't make it to the line in Vegas. But they would have been the fastest two in the round and would have been the front row, except they didn't make it to the line in time. And then here at Fontana, we come and nobody makes it to the line in the final round. So something's got to be done about this. NASCAR's looking at making changes here before Texas, so we'll see what exactly happens with the qualifying procedure before we get to Texas. But the way it is right now and with the way this package works, it's just, it doesn't work. I have every faith in NASCAR that they can fix it and they can make it work, but where it is right now, it doesn't work. So let's get into the starting lineup, and since time's reverted back to the second round, Austin Dillon is your pole sitter as he was the fastest in round number 2. Kevin Harvick will join him on the front row. Harvick's SHR teammate Eric Almirola will start third with Kyle Busch on the outside. Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, row 3. Ryan Newman with a great start in 7th. Chase Elliott also in row 4 and 8th. And in row 5, Clint Boyer and Ryan Blaney rounding out the top 10. Also in the final round here as we scroll through the rest of the starting lineup, Jimmy Johnson and Ricky Stenhouse, 11th and 12th. They made the last round, but as everybody else did not make a lap. Brad Keselowski was your fastest guy that did not advance to the final round. He will start in the 13th position. Kyle Larson, who everybody seems to have started calling 2 Mile Kyle now because he is so good at this track and at Michigan on the 2 mile tracks. He will start in the 15th position, so not sure if he just didn't have the qualifying speed this weekend or doesn't have really any speed all around. We'll have to try and figure that out when we get to the practice sheets. Daniel Hemrick will start in 17th. Eric Jones far down the list in 18th. Daniel Suarez down here in the 20th position. Kurt Busch, William Byron back here in row 11. Not great starts for them, nor for Alex Bowman and Matt DiBenedetto in row 12. Martin Truex Jr. even further down the list here in 28th. And then as we get to the bottom of the list here, your normal cast of characters back here in the back. All right, so now let's take a look at practice speeds we'll take a look at practice number 2. There were 2 race trim practices that took place on Saturday. Kevin Harvick paced practice number 2 with a time of 40.940, 175.867 miles per hour. Kyle Busch right up there with him, only a couple hundredths off. Brad Keselowski also fast. Daniel Hemrick up here in the top 5 as well. Austin Dillon also putting his RCR car up here in the top 10. So it doesn't seem to be a fluke that Austin Dillon was fast in qualifying, as it does seem that he is fast all around. Daniel Hemrick wasn't quite there in qualifying, but he is up here on the practice charts. Now, some names I'm noticing down here further down the list that might be a little concerning here. Jimmy Johnson back here in the 19th position. Ryan Blaney 21st. Chase Elliott 22nd. Kyle Larson 26th fastest on this list. 2 Mile Kyle may not be strutting his stuff this weekend like we're used to seeing on the 2 mile tracks. And then even further down the list, Denny Hamlin in 29th with 41.646, almost a full second off of Kevin Harvick. So some of these guys have some real work to do heading into the race. Best 10 lap average chart in this round, Brad Keselowski paced that list, 173.219. Kevin Harvick, your fastest guy on single lap speeds, 18th on your long run speeds, 170.818, 3 mile an hour off of Brad Keselowski over a 10 lap average. So there does seem to be some discrepancy here as to who's fast on single lap and who is fast over the long run. All right, final practice. Also in race trim, Brad Keselowski paced that one as well, 40.759, 176.648. Daniel Hemrick, though, jumped to second in this practice. Daniel Suarez also up here in third. Eric Almirola, Ryan Blaney also in the top 5. Ryan Newman there in the 7th position. Alex Bowman finding some speed in this practice in 8th. Austin Dillon up here again in 9th. So again, Austin Dillon, as well as his teammate Daniel Hemrick, both seem to have speed in this session. Drivers that may still need to be worried about: Chase Elliott down here in 22nd. Clint Boyer 20th. Martin Truex Jr. 19th. Jimmy Johnson 18th. Kevin Harvick fastest in the second practice, 17th fastest in the final practice. So Kevin Harvick seemed to lose a lot of speed here from practice number 2 to practice number 3. Might be a bit concerning if you are a Harvick fan. Kyle Larson again down here in 16th. So if you're a Larson fan and this was the race you thought might be a good one for him, I don't know. These practice times aren't really showing that to be true. 10 lap average chart from final practice. Daniel Hemrick paced that, 174.940 miles per hour. So Daniel Hemrick actually looking to be pretty sporty over the long run. Brad Keselowski also fast on that list in third, 174.088. So Brad Keselowski seems to have a very good long run car here this weekend. Ryan Blaney second on this list as well, right there with his teammate Brad Keselowski. So a couple of Penske cars here really fast over the long run. Hemrick more seems to be early in the run, as his 10 lap average was his first 10 laps on track. So that might be more of a short run car, whereas Blaney and Keselowski were both 23 to 32 and 26 to 35 on their laps. So that's more long run pace for the Penske cars, whereas Hemrick seems to be more short run speed. Larson down here 8th fastest on this 10 lap average. So Larson seems to have a bit more long run speed than he does short run speed, although I don't see a lot of speed out of that car, period, this weekend. If you're a Larson fan, this might be cause for concern this weekend. I'm not sure. I don't want to throw up any red flags just yet, but the speed does not seem to be there in practice. All right, so now that we got through all of that, let us make a prediction for today's race. So if you're watching this on the premiere, let us know down in the live chat who do you think is going to win today's Auto Club 400. If you're watching this later, let us know down in the comments who do you think is going to win today. So, given all of the knowledge that we have, everything that we have pulled together from practice times, from qualifying, everything that has happened thus far this weekend, I'm going to go with a Penske car. But I don't think I'm going to go with the Penske car that you think I'm going to go with. I'm not going to go with Brad Keselowski, although he seems to kind of be the fastest of the three Penske cars this weekend. He does have a teammate that is right there with him on speed this weekend, and that is Ryan Blaney. I'm going with Ryan Blaney to win today in the Auto Club 400, picking up his first win of 2019 and locking himself into the playoffs. I think he's right there with Brad in terms of speed this weekend. He's fifth fastest in final practice on single lap speed, second fastest over the long run on the 10-lap average chart. I think with an adjustment or two throughout the race, I think he's right there with Brad, and I think he can be faster than Brad. He showed so much speed last week in Phoenix. Right there, he and Kyle Busch were the two fastest cars in Phoenix. I think Ryan Blaney gets it done this weekend. I think Ryan Blaney gets that first win of 2019 and locks himself into the playoffs. I think that'll do it for us on this Cup Series preview show. So thank you as always for joining us. If you haven't done it already, you need to go down below, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. While you're down there, why don't you hit that big thumbs up button if you like the video. It's much appreciated when you do, and it helps us out so much when you do that. Cup Rewind coming up tonight after the race, as well as pole position Monday evening, 8 p.m. to recap you on everything that happened this weekend in the world of motorsports. But at that, this has been the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series preview show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.